We had the same question yesterday. Maybe we can change question today. I suggest for the question. No. And let's start with Chuy. What are the plans for the weekend, Chuy?
I need to take care of myself this weekend. I need to rest a lot. I need to, probably like not open my laptop in like at least a day and a half. Just
That's
like
a good
36 hours.
That's a good medicine. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but no specific plans. I think just try to enjoy the city.
Good.
I pass it to Septi.
Oh, thank you, Chuy. I think I never stopped using my computer for, less than a day. I think every day I use it. But yeah, plans for the weekend. Paul and Sam are joining the house today. So yeah, pretty chill. The swimming pool is open, and today night we are also going to play some football. So yeah, fun stuff and chill.
Good.
And I'll pass it to Juan.
This is our last weekend in Peru, and we only are lacking to go to a place that is called Sacsayhuaman, and we're going tomorrow, and we're going to make our baggages for returning to Colombia on Monday, and that's it. I don't know who hasn't gone.
You want to pass it to Libby?
Okay, I'll pass it to Libby.
Thanks. This weekend, I don't know. I haven't thought about the weekend yet. I think
You guys are early mornings. We are already afternoons here. We are closer than you.
yeah, I think I just need to organize my life a little bit. Like it feels like a complete chaos, everything around me. I need to even work a little bit. I think I need. And I'll pass to Sean.
I guess it's good afternoon for all of you guys. Nothing too exciting for this weekend. We're gonna head up north to Central California and see my mom. And it's hot there, so we're looking at like 110-degree weather, which is not exciting, but excited to get to start driving around a little bit more and getting to travel a little bit more. But other than that, that's about it. We've been busy with the move, but I think this weekend we'll get off and get to see some family. Back to you, Santi.
Thank you. Yeah, we're getting rid of the masks today. I think either tonight or tomorrow morning. I don't know exactly the hour for the exterior, which is going to be nice because with the weather, it's starting to be a pain in the ass to wear that mask outside. And I'm also going to be maybe teaching my niece. My sister just came in, and with the three girls, and the younger one, she's 15, I think. Yeah, 15. And I just discovered she draws quite nicely. So I think I'm gonna teach her how to create some NFTs on each die, and at the same time try to teach her all these. See what she gets. Okay, all right. Let's just go over real quick. We had the documents that we updated. I started updating, and Sean ended with all the params that we have on the agenda. And Sean, you mentioned there's a couple of small or minor changes that you highlighted that need to be checked. Do you remember which document is that?
Yeah, it's the hatch terms.
It's a hatch terms. Okay, let me. That's the EC terms, right? I think.
Yeah, it's the more in-depth one. The one with the the JPEG in there showing the hatch in 2 stages.
Let me share my screen and see.
And so my only question was, it was just the wording to make sure we were.
This one, right? This one that we work on.
I can't see the document yet. It's just
Do you remember? Oh, there it is. I can see it now. Do you guys
Yeah.
see it? Is this this
Yeah, I see
on is it this that I'm showing on the screen?
Yeah. This is it. I think I just want to make sure it's phrased correctly. We have 1,000 wrapped XDAI fee to make a proposal. That's fine. This fee is sent to the funding pool. That sounds correct. For the proposal to pass, it will require 88% of tech tokens to vote yes. And of the people that voted less, for the people that voted, less than blank percent can vote no. So that just sounded worded to me at my first blush was, does that mean 12% vote no? But it's just worded and it's kind of a, I just
think
wasn't
this
entirely
N,
sure.
I think this N should be deleted.
I think the quorum was not that high. It's the support requirement, and you're saying like you need those tokens to vote yes, but
No.
Like
88% of tech tokens to vote yes of the people that voted. Of the people that voted. This is not the quorum. Okay, I just deleted the end that was there.
So then we need to add the quorum in, because I think that with the and, it was for quorum, and then we weren't going to say 80. Well, at least when I originally wrote this, it was like, instead of framing it about 88% have to vote yes, framing it in the block context, that like I wouldn't even say 88%, just that if over 12% of the voters vote no, then it passes. And just have that framing. That's what the original intent of the sentence was that the 88% is actually the quorum, which I think is it 8% quorum?
It's an 8% quorum,
8?
I think.
Yeah, I think it influenced this one.
Yes. Yeah, and so if we just make clear that 8% is the quorum, then 88% of that vote, and then if more than 12% vote no, then it doesn't pass. That makes sense. I just think we packed it into too few sentences.
Okay. Do you want me to change that, or let me see? It will require 8% of quorum. And 88% of tech tokens to vote yes. Of the people who voted. I don't think we need to write down to vote yes. And less than 12%.
maybe it's me, but when I read 88% of the TC tokens to vote yes, I still feel it's quorum. But maybe
No, quorum is the amount of tokens that need to be used to vote. From the universe of tokens, whatever amount it is, 8% have to vote, no matter if they vote yes or no. 8%, at least 8% of the.
In Dandelion, it's actually they have to vote yes. At least 8% of the total tokens have to vote yes. If voting no doesn't count for them.
Okay, then how would you write that then? For a total proposal, for that proposal to pass, it will require 8% of quorum and 88% and and less than 2% vote no. Would that be correct?
Sorry, I'm trying to jump in here.
Just let me read it for you. For that proposal to pass, it will require 8% of quorum and less than 12% to vote no.
Yeah, I think it can be phrased a little bit better. But yeah, this is good. I mean, we can keep going. I can just like tweak it a little bit.
All right, I'll leave that 12% highlighted so you can find it quite easily. Then the other sentence was, the set rules that will help you understand how you should act in the tech hatch DAO are included in the document and in the tech code of conduct. You must accept to be bound by this before continuing to use the tech hatch DAO. Go ahead, John.
I didn't highlight this, but I think this was highlighted because we're still concurrently drafting call it the pledge, the Constitution, however, the code of conduct. I think that's what this is referring to. And so I think it's just highlighted until we have that kind of finalized, but I didn't highlight that one.
Okay. So is there any other, this one, technical details?
No, that in terms of getting the param elements into the document, it's in. Everything is there. I'll double check it just to, which is really more like I'll quadruple check it just to make sure it matches the parameters, but everything looked inserted in there. I know we have a couple of minor things to add to the document still, but I think we've actually resolved almost everything except the pledge. I think we're there.
Okay. I'll just accept those, and let me just go over it real quick here. Those are changes that we've made. So, and those are all. So I would just take them in, and we can go over. And here's Juan Carlos, the jurisdiction, and can also added this. But we have to take a final look just with the comments to see if we add them all or make any minor change. But in terms of parameters, we can consider that everything is included there.
I think that's right.
Okay, perfect. All right.
And now with the jurisdiction, Santi, and all that stuff, now that we know that Celeste got approved, I think it's easier to make reference to those elements because now we know they're actually, a part of DAO.
Right.
But they won't be they won't be part of the hatch DAO.
Yes, understood. We'd have to vote separately on that, right?
Yeah, and there's not, the apps that we're using for the hatch DAO don't have a way for Celeste to integrate. So the hatch DAO is this temporary staging area for money, and there's no way Celeste can't actually touch the hatch DAO, but the hatch DAO will vote. The hatch DAO will vote to upgrade to a DAO that has Celeste. So it's kind of this. It's like the second terms, I would say. Celeste doesn't have to come into these terms.
Right, I understand.
Okay. Then we'll just leave the jurisdiction terms as they are, because this is
that's right.
Okay.
Because then you can still talk about gravity, but you don't have to worry about Celeste then.
Okay, good. Next point we wanted to discuss today was the Constitution. You, Libby, can you update us on that?
Yes. I started to make this. Let me share my screen. I didn't find exactly, Sean, what were the document that you were working last? You said it was the proposal terms?
Yeah, there was a document we were doing that was on the proposal terms. Yeah, if you head on down, and I think I called it a pledge. If you go down to community pledge, You should,
Oh,
yep, there you go.
okay. So maybe we can combine this with this. So I thought we could. I read the one from One Hive and one from Aragon, and I started to feel like the One Hive one, even though it's more open, is it feels like it talks more with our culture. It's like nicer, not so aggressive. So I thought we could use something like the One Hive Covenant and just add precautions that the Aragon Network one has. So first, like describing who we are. So the Token Engineering Commons is a self-governed community of individuals with the shared purpose of advancing the field of token engineering. And then say what is the technology that we use, that is the Gardens framework. And that when we are dealing with funds allocation, the projects need to be aligned with our mission, vision, and values. And that the on-chain mechanisms we have are disputable conviction voting and disputable voting. And then how each one is used. And then for the disputable voting, that can also be used. You can use to change the smart contract and also for emergency situations, such as an attack to the DAO treasury. So I thought this we could specify a little bit more. And then I want to say what are the off-chain mechanisms too, and just to say that we have it aware that we have other decision-making tools that might be referenced in proposals. So it's just good to have them laid down here. And then the pledge, I thought it could be a mix of our code of conduct and the values. And then finalize with a small conclusion manifesto with the vision. That's like where we're going towards.
Olivia, I think that sounds great. If you, like I said, if you grab the pledge that I started in proposals, at least in terms of structure, I think there's a lot there that you can pull from. I think you will, just because I think you're just such an amazing steward, I'm sure you'll language-wise be able to describe things much better. But I think in terms of, now we're past the pledge at this point. But in terms of the contents of the pledge, I think you can, to the extent that we need anything there, because there's a section in my pledge on chain and off chain, dispute resolution. Some of those elements you talked about are at least the building blocks are there. So take what you want, discard what you don't need, and we'll keep working on it. And then by the time we're here in 2 weeks, hopefully we should have something that everyone can start chiming in on.
Yeah, this is great. There's a lot here. I thought the code of conduct didn't need to be completely laid out, but that we could link code of conduct in the covenant, because I think it's nice to have it kind of as a manifesto that people read and they feel inspired by it somehow, and that when the dispute, let's say a proposal is disputed and then the judges that have to look at it, I think it would be bigger the chance that they would read it if it's more concise, and then if there's something in the proposal that they would need to look at the code of conduct that is there, and they can look more in depth. But to have an impactful message at first.
I think that's a good idea, especially in the early goings. And again, with One Hive, there's only been, as far as I'm aware, one dispute. I haven't checked Celeste, I guess. I don't check it daily, but Over time, I think, in our last meeting 2 weeks ago, someone brought up, I forgot their name, someone brought up the idea of, what are the standards going to be, for the judges that are making decisions. And so much of it, obviously, it's, predicated on wisdom of the crowds and sort of the predictive end game. But, as we have more disputes, I think people will kind of start figuring it out. But having somewhere to start, a manifesto that kind of says, look, this is at least the building block, or at least the foundation we want to try to build off of. It's a great idea. And so the easier it's to find, the better.
Now that you mentioned this, Libby, do you guys think it would be a good policy to have a set of documents to be attached into a dispute whenever this dispute arises, so everyone has, easily the links to the documents that might be interesting to go over on top of the dispute, like the conduct, the covenant, whatever we consider is interesting for anyone to check while to judge that select dispute if they are engaged into that.
Yeah,
I mean, short answer, yes. Go ahead,
yeah.
Libby.
Yeah, no, I think that's the purpose of the covenant, right? That would be something they would have access to whenever there is a dispute.
All right.
So at least in terms of next steps, Santi, I'd assume Libby and I will keep working on this through the next meeting, and then I think at the next meeting we'd have something that everyone can kind of start going through line by line and going, offering input. Does that sound right to you, Libby? Does that sound doable?
Yeah, I wanted also to use this meeting to see if we can think together of like everything that needs to be here. So, for example, the Aragon one has the background, and then compliance of like what are how to interpret these words. And as you were saying, Sean, sometimes it's best to not have this so detailed, because that can be used like against us. And then this, I wanted to see what you guys think of having immutable guidelines. I think all guidelines should be mutable.
Right. It's a question of how mutable they should be, as opposed to immutable. I think there's, at least in theory, for me, other people are going to have different opinions, but for me, there should be some elements that are generally regarded as much harder to change, or should be taken as more serious. And other things that are more, they're procedural or just lesser importance are, to the extent we're discussing mutability, they're just more mutable. They're changeable on a much easier scale. There isn't a stand, obviously because there's people just voting here. It's not necessarily like there's no enforcement mechanism to make that happen, right? Like it's not like to pass an amendment to this is going to require a different, kind of voting system. To pass an amendment in the United States, it's got to pass the House and Senate in a certain number of states. And if that doesn't happen, here's this like secondary way for it to happen. And it's really, really hard, right? Whereas if you just want to change a regular law, no problem. Just get enough people that agree with you and you can change a regular law. But if you want to change an amendment, it's a big deal. I think that's doable here. I just, at this point, or at least early on, it may be more of a, here are the things that we think shouldn't be changed so easily, and here are the things that we think can be changed easily. But how that develops over time, I don't know. But I like including, I think we should include something like that.
So what are some of the things that should be very hard to change? Do we need to put something for like, what if we want to change the covenant? Or we don't need to add this here?
So the covenant can always be changed by the disputable voting DAO. Although, like, I think after upgrade, I will suggest a proposal to move to a voting DAO, to like a DAO. Sorry, move that permission to a DAO, to a voting app that doesn't have disputable characteristics, right? So that, like, if Celeste at like some crazy moment goes rogue, like, we can still remove Celeste, right? But for now, for the launch, for the terms, the disputable voting DAO can change the covenant whenever they want.
Just the same as the params, right?
Yeah, it's just another param, exactly. And we'll there are some technical hurdles, and adding multiple DAOs would be a lot of scope creep. So there'll just be one, kind of like God mode, Dandelion DAO, kind of like how we use Dandelion DAO in the hatch. There'll just be one DAO, one disputable voting instance that controls every parameter, including Celeste.
And including the Constitution and the Covenant.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
I shared with Sam what you said about having another DAO with no disputable vote, with no Celeste, without Celeste, and he had an attack on the top of his mind, but I can't remember now. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, the attack is, oh, what if Celeste goes rogue? Oh, you're saying an attack on the changing the voting instance?
Yeah, an attack for having an instance without Celeste that could uninstall Celeste.
Yeah, I don't know what his attack is.
The 51%?
No, maybe it was something like, oh, but then people can just like maliciously uninstall Celeste.
Yeah, we talked about this last meeting, but you need to put money on the table to do that. I mean, that's not free. That's not free, and that cost, it's even making it harder because you can lose the money. I mean, it's not like, okay, I'm gonna attack. Let's grab a bunch of people from the DAO and let's force an attack. Yeah, but every one of those guys have to put the money to be able to, perpetrate the attack, and they risk losing it.
Yeah, and this is out of scope, is what I'd say. Like, in the end, we're launching with one thing, and then, to change it would take a vote, and there'll be lots of time to debate it.
Okay, so for this that we're doing, should we add to this document that if the code of conduct needs to be changed, that this has to be done through disputable voting?
Yeah.
And then what are the emergency situations that people could use disputable voting for, other than just changing code?
Disputable voting is God mode. It can take money out of the bonding curve. It can take money out of the funding pool. It can turn our DAO into a duck.
So I just write here, it's God mode.
I don't know.
Well, it's also a defensive tool in the event we have an attack, a real attack, or a hacker. It's a way for us to be able to protect ourselves.
I think God mode's a great technical term, but I don't know if you guys agree. I can definitely be outvoted on this one. It's not a hill I'm going to die on.
It's just really hard to explain in another way. right?
Yeah.
So
Has
disputable. I'm just thinking of what is the scope creep of disputable voting that should be here, because we don't want people using disputable voting all the time. So like disputable voting can be used for everything, but it should.
If we don't want everyone to use disputable voting for anything, I would say disputable voting should be used for, and just don't mention that it can be used for everything. Just mention it should be used only for, and that's it. Anyone who's into the DAO knows that it can be used for anything, but you don't need to mention it.
Yeah, and it should be used for changing parameters. It should be used for emergency circumstances, right? And if there's bug fixes, upgrading applications, yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Changing permissions, yeah, adding new features to the DAO. These are pretty much, that's all it does. It should be barely used, like.
Yeah, that's more or less what I had here. I was just thinking if we needed to give more context to what is an emergency situation, or maybe not. Like, do we want to leave it in the open? What is an emergency situation?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of emergency situations we can't predict, so I think
Yeah, it's hard to enumerate everything. So there is sometimes a value in just at the end of a couple of specific examples saying, and other very serious emergencies should they arise, and just kind of leave it at that.
And do you agree that is important to mention the off-chain decision-making processes? Or you think that wouldn't affect any of the proposals that are there?
No, it definitely affects. I mean, like, I don't know. I think this is the cultural build, right? I think including the cultural expectations. I don't know if it. I really would defer to Sean on this one, but like explaining that, hey, you have to make a forum post. I mean, that's straight up in the disputable. They have to put a link to something, and we should tell. I mean, I feel like it's kind of set that it's got to make a post in the forum. Should follow advice process for proposals to be accepted by the DAO, and there's an expectation of following the advice process, creating a proposal on the forum, following the advice process, and like having an open discussion before put to a vote.
Yeah, on-chain and off-chain things should be discussed there, and there that's in my pledge, Libby. The off-chain aspect of it, the sort of gravity, the forum posting, all that stuff should be in there. In terms of saying, look, that's what the expectations are.
Okay, so probably just combining the two of them will be enough, and then it's probably like close to ready.
Yeah, at least for a jumping off point where I think, like I said, I think you have such a deeper knowledge of the community than I do. I think you'll probably see some of my sentences or paragraphs or even sections and go, I can vastly improve this. But at least in terms of like a building block, I think a lot of the stuff is in there. I think I definitely looked more to One Hive than Aragon, so there may be stuff in the Aragon covenant that should be added in. But I think I agreed with you when I looked at both of them. I thought the One Hive kind of felt culturally more similar to us.
Plus, we probably through One Hive, we're probably getting the influence of Luke using Aragon initial document to create the One Hive one, adding whatever he thought it was good one. So.
Right.
Yeah, and the codes of conducts are basically all the same. Like we got ours from Giveth, and it's very similar to the One Hive one. That it's very similar to the Aragon.
Yeah, they're all derived from the same core open source, like the classic open source contributor guidelines.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else we need us today?
Santi, I think I sent the third-party application document I drafted. We don't have to go over that today at all, but it is out there for us to look at when we want to. Like I said, I don't think it's mission critical. It's just something that I had on the to-do list and was getting tired of seeing on my to-do list, so crossed it off my to-do list.
Just let me know what it is, but because I haven't, just send me a link and I'll go over it. Okay, I'll go over that. And I don't know, Juan Carlos, do you think, is there anything else we take care of that we haven't thought of for the hatch? I don't think for the hatch we need anything else, but any additional doc or any additional intervention from legal that you guys may think it's needed, just suggest, and we will, of course, put it on the agenda for next meeting. Okay. All right. I don't know if there's no other point to discuss. I think we can leave it here. I'll go with the document, Sean, and we're ready for the hatch. All those documents are ready. Did you have a chance to go over all those comments, Griff?
Yeah, I'm hacking on the hatch terms a little bit, and I'll take the next 19 minutes to finish hacking on it. I just want to add, like, basically, there were just a couple parameters that were missing, so I'm just gonna add those. Just add, like, was it like the I don't know. Just gonna add like the hatch membership ratio and little.
Yeah, we created that document long ago, and for sure there are some things that need to be. Sean, you're muted.
Yeah, I think the not that every parameter term has to be in the document, but it probably doesn't hurt. Like I don't think the maximum was in there, but again, I don't think that's a really affect things kind of term. But yeah, there was definitely a couple of param terms not in there.
Yeah, and the big one that I see that I'm gonna have to put some work in is we talk about the cultural build tribute and like a lot, and so I'm just gonna define that in here and leave it, even though we didn't really define it in our community very well. But it's not that hard to define based off of the total supply that goes to builders, and I'll just hack on that and make it coherent. So that someone can read it and know what it means.
Okay.
Sounds good. Then we can look at that document again at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Sorry, my internet crashed on the spot, but I wanted to say that for me it's amazing what we're talking about and the legal strategy that we have developed, and I feel that we are very advanced on that, and that I was taking notes and feeling very happy that we can have Santi to talk to the ETH Colombia community, because people tend to think that like creating a DAO is just creating a DAO and that's it. But to be able to talk about all these legal aspects and the way we have to be able to defend ourselves and to all kinds of attacks, it's super interesting. And yeah, that for me it's a pleasure that we can talk about this in Spanish.
Thank you, Juan Carlos. I just wanted to mention, not that has anything to do with legal, but early this morning I saw which minimum goal on the hatch. So you're getting there.
It was me.
It was you, huh? It was your vote.
I highly recommend everyone try to like, you know, have the experience of like, you know, the C-stack ratio is an experience. The C-stack membership ratio is an experience. Go to the hatch and you'll actually see how much you can contribute. Now, all of us, for the most part, we have like some fat stacks of impact hours we have some fat stacks of C-stack score. We have a high C-stack score. So we'll be able to contribute way more than you would think, you know? But it's an interesting thing. Like, even though you have 1 million T-DAI, you can't contribute all of that, right? So it's a fun experience. Hatch.tecommons.org. Give it a shot. See the confetti. Enjoy the show.
I think I'm gonna create a Uniswap liquidity pool with those T-DAIs.
Yeah, yeah, you can. Uniswap's the spot.
What was the website again? What was the website, Greg?
Hatch.tecommons here. I can DM it to you as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
But yeah, hatch.tecommons.org, and it's cool. It's super cool. And also there's a sneak peek of our community video.
Perfect. Libby, if you guys need help on these 2 weeks to go over that document together with Sean, right? And anyone from the community, if you guys need to add anything for next legal meeting, just let us know. I think we're ready to go.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
15 minutes ahead. Okay. Talk
Don't
to you
forget
guys.
to blog.
Oh yeah, token log. That's the other one. So much
Yeah,
action.
where's that link, Libby? It's on the self-governance?
Yeah,
It's in
I'll
the
paste it here in legal.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys have any ideas on how to modify the praise? And there's a few proposals. Sem's proposal's up. My proposal is up. Is there any others up yet, Livia?
No.
Not yet, right?
What about the bot? Is already up and running?
What
The
bot?
bot.
The bot for praise.
Like, oh yeah, praise emergency is settled. So we got the impact hours for last round.
Okay.